Welcome to the Neighborhood Ford Store Steelers Extra Point, presented by BetMGM.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome inside our KDKA TV studios. Following a Steeler dismal performance on the road, it started, unlike any of the previous 10 games, with a scoring drive and 7 points on the first position. After that, it was all Green Bay, and it was much of the same. Bob Pompeani, Chris Hoke with you here for the next hour and a half. We'll be taking some of your calls a little later. We have post-game reaction coming up from Lambeau Field. But, Chris, same kind of thing here. We see a complete, one-sided passing show, not much running. We see a lot of dumping down. We see a lot of checking off. Najee's probably targeted more than anybody. It was the same exact thing as last week, which they knew could not exist today, and it did.
Yeah, same thing, right? Last week, I think it was 58 passes to, 15 runs. Today, 40 passes to 15 runs. They're just not running the ball consistently, and they had success early. And what's happening, the reason why this is getting out of whack is because they're getting behind. They're not able to score points, and they're at long drives. They're not converting. They're not converting on fourth downs, and then the opposing team's going down and scoring, so now they are forced to throw the ball, and that's why it's getting out of whack. And right now, really, you talk about play calling, Bob. We talked about this before we came on the air, and what's bothering me is that right now there's too much dinking and dunking. There's no time to throw the ball down the field, and this is not on the offensive line. We'll have a lot of time to talk about this. The offensive line needs to improve, but I think it's the overall collective offensive effort.
So, in other words, you would be questioning Ben Roethlisberger's decision-making, because I am right now. There's too much of the same. And it seems like the middle of the field has been ignored. They very seldom go in there. And for me, if you have big bodies, and it doesn't even matter if it's Freiermuth or Ebron or Gentry or any of those guys, how about some slants by wide receivers? We see one every now and then. You got to use the middle of the field. They don't do it. They throw to the edges all the time. Green Bay had to know all of this was coming because it was coming. And, when you dink and dunk as much as they do, 4th down and 4, come on, you throw the ball 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. How in the world is any back going to convert that? And they did it again in the next possession on a 4th down.
There is nothing else for me to believe but that Ben had it in his mind he was going to Najee. If you look to the strong side, to Ben's left, Freiermuth was wide open. There was nobody even on him, nobody within 11 yards of Freiermuth, and Ben right away got the ball and threw the ball right over to Najee. Commensurate of 4th and last week, 4th and 10, and he threw the check down right there to Najee. Ben in his mind right now is set where he's going with the football before the ball is snapped. This offensive line, yes, they need to improve. But, Bob, let's be honest. Ben is putting him in a very, very difficult situation. He snaps, gets the ball in shotgun, takes 2-3 steps back. He's in the same spot 90 to 95% of every single pass. These defensive linemen can pin their ears back and get after the quarterback. And they're not moving the pocket. They're not going play action. They're not doing any kind of rolling. Ben can't move. Ben can't step up in the pocket. Coach Cowher said that at halftime, that Ben can't step up in the pocket. There are times when he's getting hit and there's a pocket where he can step up into, and he's still not doing it, and the guys coming off the edge are hitting him when he needs to step up in there and throw the ball. There is a lot of things that need to be improved on, offensive line and Ben Roethlisberger.
And that was a signature part of his game. And listen, while Ben Roethlisberger is a Hall of Fame quarterback and has provided so many great things, it's also fair to criticize him. And right now, he is just not getting the job done. We're going to talk about what lies ahead with that. Should there be a change? We're also going to hear from Mike Tomlin, and we're going to welcome your calls as well. Steelers are 1-3 following this 27-17 loss, and they're 2 games behind everyone. The rest of the division is 3-1, and it won't get any easier with Denver and Seattle coming to Heinz Field. We'll be back with more of our coverage after the Steelers' loss at Lambeau next.
Welcome back to the Neighborhood Ford Store Steelers Extra Point, presented by BetMGM.
Pompeani and Chris Hoke hanging out with you as the Steelers fall to 1-3, their 3rd consecutive loss. It still makes me wonder how they beat Buffalo based on how they played the last 3 weeks. But the Bengals, they won on Thursday night, as you know, coming from behind to do it. The Browns won today, impressively, I thought, defensively on the road in Minnesota. And the Ravens go to Denver and win. Now, Denver will come here, and then it's Seattle coming here. But, the Browns look really good defensively. They were putting a lot of pressure on Kirk Cousins, and they dominated Minnesota's offensive line.
Yeah, and they were physical. And that's the thing is that right now, this Browns team, you go on the road, it's tough to win on the road. But they went in there against the Vikings, were able to pull away in a tough, hard-fought game. Right now, I never thought starting the season the Steelers would be behind by 2 games to every single one of the teams in the AFC North and 2.5 games behind the Bengals. But that's where they sit right now with a lot of question marks on this roster.
All right, let's talk about one of the questions as we wait for Mike Tomlin. Ben Roethlisberger moving forward. Now, I said last week in that game against Cincinnati, after the second interception that he threw to Logan Wilson, I thought that was a good time to make a change, if for no other reason, to get something different going on. So now they're in a situation where they have time, they're coming home. What would you do if you're Mike Tomlin, knowing that the one element of Ben's game, which has made him a Hall of Famer, his signature ability to move the pocket and escape and do so many magical things, that seems not to be present. So do you make a change? Do you go to Mason Rudolph?
You have to start entertaining it right now, because I believe that he is a bit of a liability for this Steelers offense right now because he can't move. Right? He takes the ball again, takes 2 steps back from shotgun. He's in the same spot 95% of the passes. He can't step up into the pocket very often. He can't roll. You put a younger guy in there, like a Mason Rudolph. He could step up, and he's not a great runner, but he can move better than Ben can right now. I just think the way that this offensive line struggles a bit, and with Ben, that combination is terrible for this offense.
Now, there were some throws that it was kind of interesting on Twitter, social media, people debating whether or not it was Roethlisberger overthrowing JuJu Smith-Schuster, especially the one right down the middle of the seam, or was it JuJu Smith-Schuster who could have made that catch? Was that a catchable ball to you?
I think it wasn't. I think it was just on his fingertips, and Ben overthrew that. That's in my belief that what it was. And JuJu might have been able to play it better, but you look at it, it happened again later in the game.
Yeah.
When it was 27-10, the Steelers had an opportunity. There was nothing but grass in front of JuJu, and Ben overthrew JuJu on a go route. JuJu got the inside position. He had the ball. Ben hits him in stride. He's hitting his head on the goalpost, but instead overthrows him. And you can go on. I have them listed here. There were play after play where Ben missed guys today, threw the ball in the dirt. He had Deontay Johnson late for a first down that he overthrew him when he found the soft spot in the zone. And Ben, you can see it on his face. Ben's frustrated right now. He's not making the throws he's used to making. And listen, I know from experience, never been a Hall of Fame player like Ben, but I remember the feeling that I felt when I realized that I couldn't play at the level that I wanted to play and I could play before.
Yeah, he can still, in a clean pocket, go through it and do things, but at the same time, when the pocket's not clean, there's a lot of that dumping off going on, and it will be interesting to see what Mike Tomlin does next week. Again, 2 very important home games coming up, Denver and then Seattle before a bye week. They cannot afford to lose any more of these games, especially these are AFC teams coming in to Heinz Field, where I didn't expect they would lose to both the Raiders and the Cincinnati Bengals. We'll talk about Ben versus Rodgers at the quarterback comparison, and a lot of people doing that throughout the course of the game. Nance and Romo, and first time they've met since the Super Bowl back in 2010. And the one difference, as you said, is that Rodgers can keep these plays alive and move. He was accurate, right, putting the ball where he had to put it. In fact, it was a 4th down that I thought was going to be a conversion, and Randall Cobb intercepted or locked down. One was intended for Davante Adams.
Yeah, on that one right there. And he didn't play well down the stretch, and I believe that's the reason why, something we're going to talk about, that Coach Tomlin decided to kick that ball away instead of going for the onside kick. Because before that, it was fumble, I think punt, and then loss on downs. Aaron Rodgers was not throwing the ball very well. They weren't in sync offensively. He felt like he could get a stop there. And the Steelers defense, for the most part, I thought played well in this game. They gave up some plays that they shouldn't have, but overall, I thought they played a good game. All
right, Mike Tomlin is heading to the podium at Lambeau Field. Post-game comments coming at you right now, live here on Pittsburgh CW.
But it's nothing mystical about it. Like I just told the team, man, we need more detail in our play. We got to put them in better position to make plays, and then they got to make more plays. And so, we're all collectively in our circumstance together. We got to continually get better. Those are our intentions. We don't like where we are, but more importantly about not liking where we are, it's about what we do about it as we move forward, and we won't blink. We just need to continue to get better. We need more detail in our play, more understanding, and that'll produce the splash that'll get us out of stadiums. It's not enough splash. We had our opportunities. We had opportunities to get behind them and so forth. We didn't take advantage of it. We had opportunities to get off sooner on defense. We didn't win enough third downs. We had a splash play in the special teams to no avail, and so we'll just keep working. We'll keep working in all 3 phases. We compliment Green Bay. They played winning football, and we did not. And so from an injury standpoint, Dotson has a hip flexor. Cam Sutton has a groin. Some other bumps and bruises. I think most of those guys return to action. I'll give you more detail about the state of the health of the group when we get together on Tuesday. Questions?
Mike, could you tell, did it look like Joe Hayden was offside on that block?
You hear things about what was said on television and all of that. I didn't have the line of scrimmage, so, I'd just be speculating or giving you some hearsay.
What's missing to get the ball downfield? What's missing? It's been a while now.
Just detailed execution. And I don't say that, tongue in cheek, man. We need more detail in our work, and we need better understanding. We need to play faster. Those will produce the chunks that you mentioned. We're close. We had some opportunities today. We just didn't hit enough of them.
Mike, when you talked about the plays, you got behind them and you missed the passes. Are those the ones that JuJu, the ones you referred to?
Yes, you guys know which ones I'm referring to. We got to have those plays, particularly when we're not playing as well as we like. Chunks eliminate a lot of execution, we say, in the coaching business. And by that, I mean if you're not playing clean splash plays or chunks of real estate aid you. And so we're not playing clean enough and we're not getting enough chunks to offset it. And that's why we're having the conversation that we're having.
Like last week, you said you weren't pressing the panic button after this game. What's your level of concern about the direction?
I'm concerned, but I still maintain the same position.
Like the couple fourth down plays behind the line of scrimmage, is that by design or is that under the
You'd have to ask him. I don't know which ones you're specifically talking about. I know, obviously, when we go for it on fourth, it's our intention to get the line in the game. We weren't able to do that on several occasions.
Mike, you talk about splash. You had a couple of your defensive guys back today, and they just couldn't get any splash plays on defense either. What did you see from that group?
Just like I mentioned when I was talking earlier, I was talking about that group as well. We need more detail in our play, and the detail to provide the splash that we need for the significant plays.
Are you surprised the Packers were able to consistently run the football?
We were doing some things to minimize some of the passing, and so we knew that would be a component of it. I didn't, although they did have a quote-unquote successful run day, I don't think that was the difference in the game. And so when you're playing somebody that has that type of talent in the backfield at quarterback on the perimeter, you got to make some choices, and we understand that. We knew they would be capable of running the ball some based on our plan, but I didn't think it would determine the outcome, and I still don't.
Mike, how much do you think that flag maybe helped determine the outcome of the game because the reversal going up at halftime as opposed to being down?
I mean, that's obvious. That's a point swing.
Anyone else?
Like the offense, the touchdowns first drive, they had some rhythm. Didn't see that as the game went on. Did you feel like that was something that Green Bay made some adjustments, or you guys just didn't execute as consistently?
With all due respect to Green Bay, it's not about what they did or did not do. It's about the quality of our play and the positions that we put our people in. We always own that. We're not seeking comfort in terms of the outcome of plays or sequences or games for that matter. We own our performances.
Anyone else?
All right, thanks.
We'll
Yep.
see you here shortly.
Thank you right outside.
All right, so that's Mike Tomlin, and he says he's not ready to push a panic button, which was asked of him last week, although today he said, I am concerned. He should be concerned because there don't appear to be many answers right now. It's the same kind of play designs or play calls or whatever you want to call it. He was asked about a couple of those fourth down plays, throwing behind the line of scrimmage, making it much more difficult for anyone, even somebody as gifted as Najee Harris, to get 4 yards when you're throwing it 3 behind the line of scrimmage. You've got to get 7 and no blockers. He said you'd have to ask Ben about that.
Yeah,
So
I think that's the thing. When he says he has a high level of concern, I believe, because that includes Ben. I think right now he's seen multiple games where Ben has struggled, where he's come out, he hasn't read the field right? He's made throws. We talk about that 4th and 10 last week late in the game, Najee, the 4th and 4 today. Guys are open down the field. Even Matt Canada said this week in his interview that we had guys in the end zone. They had Matt Freiermuth open on the strong side, opposite of where Najee was. Ben's coming to the line of scrimmage, and in his mind, it looks like he's set where he's going with the football. So the problem here could be Ben Roethlisberger, and that's why it's a concern, because how do you fix that when it's shown multiple games in a row where there are some issues there? And so if I was the head coach, I'd be concerned as well.
Yeah, they're going to have to figure out who is at quarterback next week. It's difficult, obviously, to deal with a Hall of Fame guy. As I said, though, it's fair to say that he is a Hall of Famer. He's provided so much, but at the same time, you can be critical and say we got to make something happen because they're 1-3 and they are of concern. When we come back, you're going to hear from T.J. Watt. The defense, even though they were okay, I didn't think they were great in certain situations. We'll talk about what they did today. That and more coming up as we continue here on Pittsburgh CW. It is the Steelers Extra Point Show.
Welcome back to the Neighborhood Ford Store Steelers Extra Point, presented by BetMGM.
All right, welcome back as we continue. Bob Pompeani, Chris Hoke with you. Steelers lose by 10, and you could not really have asked for a better start. Not only did they score on their first drive after Green Bay deferred in this game, they ran the ball. 4 of their first 6 plays were running plays, which featured Najee Harris, gain of 10, a gain of 7, a gain of 4. Then it set up a pass to Johnson for 45 yards and a touchdown. First defensive possession, they're on the field, and a 3rd and 3, and here comes Devin Bush with the blitz, something different that we saw. And, all of a sudden now things are trending in the Steelers' direction.
Yeah, and Bush came twice. He came free, one for a sack, another one for great pressure. They sent more hats than the Packers could pick up on those blitzes, and that's why the pressure came. But however you get there, it's important. But that's the way the Steelers need to start. And Deontay Johnson got away with a little bit, Bob. And he said he got a little push off there deep on that pass. But it was a touchdown. It wasn't called. And the Steelers scored for the first time, I believe, 14 quarters? 14 games.
10 games.
14 games in the
first drive.
First drive,
yeah, but 10 games in the first quarter, no points. I think they mentioned it was outscored 58-0, so that had to change, and it did change. So they got the ball back, and what do? First play is a run from Harris, 6 yards, pass, punt. My thing about running the ball, it's got to be a commitment. It's got to be a lot of it. It opens up play action. We don't see a lot of play action from this team, and that would do it. And I thought they got away from that. And then the next possession, there were 7 of 8 passes, and by the way, defensively, Green Bay got on the board, 13 plays, 64 yards. They had 4 third-down conversions, and there you go.
And here's my problem, and we talked about this already on the show. You ran the ball for 10 yards. I think you said 7 yards, 4 yards, and then 6 yards in the first 2 drives. That sets up the play action. The Steelers don't run the play action, right? So if you can run the ball that you're averaging, 6-7 yards a carry, then it pulls up the linebackers. It opens up the middle of the field, opens up a lot for this offense, but they're not running the play action. So if you run the ball, it's no benefit to you.
Right. You got to play action. There's no question about that. All right, TJ Watt at the podium at Lambeau Field. A homecoming for him. Let's go there right now.
This wasn't enough. I think we saw schematically some things that they like to do last week against San Francisco, and wanted to do some different things to try to confuse them in coverage, and sometimes that's doing different things up front rushing, but when we were able to rush, I feel like there were definitely times we were able to pressure him, and sometimes we could have done better.
The crowd was kind of on you on that, what wasn't they felt was a tripping call. Did it happen?
I haven't seen the play yet. I had hands in my face and just trying to make a play.
How did you feel?
Felt pretty good. Good enough to play.
Any common thread on everyone convert one third down to keep low?
Just got to play better defensively.
You say good enough to play, but you think you're at 100%?
I'm not putting. I was good enough to play.
TJ, what made it so hard to stop that run today?
Just trying to do too much. I think it starts with me, is just trying to make too many things happen. You got guys down and you're just trying to make a play, and sometimes you just got to trust your teammates, and I think that starts obviously first and foremost with me, and I think they had over 100 yards before the fourth quarter rushing alone, so anytime they can have the run or the pass, it's really tough to stop them defensively.
Did you know a lot of guys that go 1 and 3 in that locker room? Can you say anything? What's the feeling like in there right now? Do you get that turned around?
I just said, stop trying to make too much happen. Like, that starts with me, and we just have to continue to lean on each other and trust each other and watch the film and continue to get better. I mean, it's still super early in the season. We're at home next week, and just like every week, it's a gotta have it, but this feeling definitely sucks.
Is there something significant that's changed what you guys are doing defensively since that week 1 game against the Bills, or is it just losing some of the guys in the first?
We just need to execute better.
I think you had 2 red zone held in the 3, late in the first, early in the second. Are you feeling good about yourself at that point that you can keep them out of the end zone, that maybe can turn out?
I think that's the goal defensively, is trying to not let the other team get as many points as they can. So, but we're not here licking ourselves over stopping a team to 3 points either. So, like I said, there's a lot of film to watch, and we have to continue to grow and grow fast, because this thing is coming up quickly next week, and we just got to have a good week of practice and continue to build.
Anything else? All right, you're talking about guys trying to do too much. How tough is Aaron Rodgers against, is he a guy that can especially take advantage of mistakes when guys are trying to do too much?
I think every quarterback in the National Football League is capable of exposing defenses when guys are out of gaps and out of assignments and coverage. Hats off to them. Great football team. Made a lot of good plays, and we didn't make enough.
Thanks.
Interesting final comments there. Guys missing their gaps, guys not with their assignments. You don't want to hear that week 4 into the season, and that's an indictment, I would assume, on both coaching and players.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he said earlier, too, that he's just trying to do too much and make up for people being injured but not being in their gaps. And so you saw a couple times in the run game when they were able to expose that edge, when TJ jumped inside trying to get in the backfield when he should have stayed outside to set a hard edge. Same thing, trying to do too much. You saw last week, Minka doing too much to cover for people. Right now, you have guys in this defense that aren't doing their job. We heard last week coming out of the game a lot of, we need to execute better. That is code for we need to do our jobs. And so everyone just needs to do their job. They need to get back to the drawing board and say, hey, listen, let's just go out there. Each person, we have a responsibility to do. Let's line up. Let's execute our job, and we're going to be okay. But the problem is when guys get out of their gaps, when guys don't do their job, then other guys like TJ and Minka, the stars, try to do their job, and they're out of position too.
One quick note before we go to break. It's a sad note. One of a big Steeler fan, Caden Sandoval, passed away from brain cancer this week. An ardent Steeler fan, watched every game. A tough situation. We extend our condolences to his family. Rest in peace, Caden Sandoval. When we come back, we're going to talk to Ben Roethlisberger, his thoughts on this game. We're also going to break down that call on the block punt by Minka Fitzpatrick, just because we should do that. And Chris has an interesting take on that as well. It's coming up next right here on Pittsburgh CW.
Welcome back to the Neighborhood Ford Store Steelers Extra Point, presented by BetMGM.
Another busy day in the NFL, and not a good day if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, that's for sure. Not only did they lose, Cleveland won on the road against Minnesota. Kansas City Eagles, how about that? Andy Reid goes back to his old stomping grounds. He is the first coach, I believe, to have 100 wins with 2 different organizations. And the Ravens, 23-7 over the Broncos. Lamar Jackson to Marquise Brown for a touchdown in that game, and their defense playing well. So all those teams are 3-1. The Steelers are not. They're 1-3 with Denver coming to town next week. So we talk about the Steelers and some of the things they're doing offensively. I know Ben Roethlisberger had a day that in one way he'll remember. I guess bittersweet. They lost the game. It was not a good performance, but he did get his career 400th touchdown pass right off the bat, 45 yards to Deontay Johnson, and he also passed Dan Marino. As Jim Nantz said, it was a bad day for Dan Marino. All his records are falling.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it right now, and this reminds you of what a great quarterback Ben Roethlisberger has been over the last, 18 seasons? And now he's sitting here and we're talking about how he is struggling here in the end of his career. But the 400th touchdown catch, I've been blessed to be a part of a lot of those, and I have been able to be a part of teams that he's led to help us win big AFC championship games and win Super Bowls. So I am super grateful for all that Ben's done throughout his career at the Steelers, and getting that 400th TD pass is huge for him.
It really was. All right, he is at the podium right now. We're going to hear from Ben Roethlisberger at Lambeau Field. Actually, we'll get to it in a second, but Roethlisberger again on the day. He did fumble, and a costly fumble it was, because Green Bay scored right after that. He also threw a late interception. But again, some of these, dink and dunk kind of checkdowns are becoming very redundant, and I think other teams know that as well. When you can't get out of the pocket, they can pin their ears back, as you say.
And that's one of the times when Trey Turner just got walked right back. I mean, Kiki walked him right back, the D-tackle, into Ben's face. And then Ben couldn't step up on that one because you saw Kendrick Green, he got beat with Garrett right across his face. And he had nowhere to step up, and it was a bad situation there. Sack, fumble, they get the ball, go score.
The Steelers are very, very impressed with their draft picks. They thought those guys could come in and play right away. That's tough. Thing to do in the NFL when you're going from college. Do you think they misplayed their hand when it comes to offensive line and the construction of it this year?
In my opinion, it's too early because of the situation where they can't even help these guys out. You really can't help these guys out right now because you can't move the pocket, you can't roll out, you can't do play action, which helps offensive linemen. Do you wish that Kendrick Green would be a little bit better? Absolutely, but I'm not going to put it all in his lap because there are things they can do to protect him and help him out.
All right, now it's Ben Roethlisberger at the microphone. Let's go to Lambeau Field once again.
Just missed the throw. I'll take it. You kind of get caught between putting air on it, and letting him run under it, and taking some air off because you don't want to get him hit. But either way, that's on me. I'll take those. And those are big plays that we need.
You think after that strip sack, kind of momentum changed for you guys? And had trouble getting back in the rhythm?
I mean, anytime you turn the ball over, it's going to be a potential game changer.
design, or were you under duress?
You know what? I don't even remember. I mean, we had a few of them tonight, I think. And so I'd hate to give you an answer without knowing exactly, what happened or what the play call was or what specifically it was. But could be any of the factors. I'm not really sure. Sorry.
They talked a lot about the importance of getting the running game going. But at the same time, is getting the ball downfield on a consistent basis even more important in ways to get that safety, to get everybody to back off?
Yeah, I mean, I thought we kind of started to get the run game going. We had some decent plays tonight, and I think there's still more out there. I keep telling Naj, get physical. You're big. Be big. Play big. Run through tackles. Don't avoid contact. Make contact. Be scary. I remember I got to play with Jerome, and Jerome created contact, and it was a game changer when he ran people over. And so I keep trying to reiterate that to him. At the same time, you're right. We have to take shots, and right now we're just a little bit off. And I'll look in the mirror and start pointing the thumb at me, figuring out how to make it better.
How do you fix that? Is that a rhythm thing? Beyond the two, you set it up and
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's a little bit of both of us, the receivers and the quarterback. It's in order for a deep ball to be successful, both parties have to be on the same page. They have to understand, the coverage and what's going on. But at the end of the day, I'm the one throwing it. I'm the one that has to make it happen, and I'm the one that has to hit the guys. And so, regardless of where they are on the field, regardless of what the coverage is, it comes down to me to get them the ball.
Anyone else? Mike said that there were a number of details. What are a couple of details you think of that are missing offensively?
Well, I'll let Coach, because he's the one that said that. I'll let him answer that when he needs to. But for me personally, it's making those throws. I missed a couple throws tonight. I was dropping my elbow down, and when you drop your elbow, the ball isn't as accurate. So that's just on me to make the better throws. So we had some plays. We had some guys open on the sidelines early. Probably throwing the ball a little faster than I want to at times, but at the end of the day, you have to make the throws.
Yeah, and that's Ben Roethlisberger talking about making throws, and clearly there were some throws to be made early in this game, and just a little bit overthrown on both of those situations. And when you do that, you have opportunities, and there's separation, which is something we haven't seen a whole bunch of in the early going. You got to hit the plays, and when you don't hit the plays, all of a sudden now it's third and long or fourth and worse.
Bob, but the reality is there were plays, and they weren't hit. And to Ben's point, he just got to make those throws, right?
Right.
I mean, there were times when JuJu was open, threw behind him, JuJu two deep balls. That's 2 weeks in a row where a throw that's accurate to a Chase Claypool last week puts you back in the game. A throw accurate to JuJu puts you back in the game in this game twice, or brings you close within a score and a half. So those are things that he's got to clean up. He's got to make. And he's not making them right now. And you look at times that Deontay Johnson threw over his head. There has to be really just him getting that elbow up or something. And I'm not, a quarterback. I don't know how that all works and the mechanics. But these throws have to be made. We're a month into the season, and the games are being lost right now because those throws aren't connected on.
Yeah, and the more you lose, the worse off it is. You're 1-3. You're looking up at teams. You're losing tiebreakers. The AFC is slipping away if you're looking at it from that point of view, and that's why those throws in critical situations need to be made. 14-10 was the score at the time before a critical play. We'll talk about that block punt that was called offside, and we're also going to hear from JuJu Smith-Schuster all yet to come right here as we continue live on our postgame show. It's The Extra Point on Pittsburgh CW.
Welcome to the Neighborhood Ford Store Steelers Extra Point, presented by BetMGM.
All right, we're rolling along, and Alex Highsmith is speaking right now live at Lambeau. Let's go there.
And stuff like that, but I just feel like I felt good out there today.
Alex, do you think that there are players that are trying to make plays and getting out of where they need to be because they're trying to make plays?
No, I mean I think guys like we talked about it after if we just guys just can just make the routine plays routinely, that's how we'll get the victory. we got to be more detailed in what we're doing so that splash plays can happen. So we know that's what we got to do. And so just like I said earlier, we'll digest in the film room tomorrow.
Were the guys on the special teams there talking afterward about the offside call?
Yeah, we'll look at it tomorrow. I don't know. I didn't see it, but we're going to look at it tomorrow and see what it says. I mean, it definitely would have helped us go into that second half. It definitely was a momentum swing if it would have been a touchdown. But, either or, touchdown, no touchdown, we know we got to respond to that. And so we just know we got to be better. I mean, we felt like we were getting after him, but, it's he gets out quick at times. He's a legendary quarterback. He's one of the best to ever do it. And so he's good at disguising. He's good at getting hard counts, trying to get guys off sides. And so we just, we know we got to be better in all phases.
Anybody sort of addressing the team from a player perspective after 3 straight losses, whether it's today in the game,
I think it's just, all of us have to take a look at ourselves, at the man in the mirror. That's the only person who can fix this, is each and every one of us, taking a look at ourselves and seeing how we can be better, because all of us, can be better. And so that's one thing we're just going to have to do going into this week. And so we're going to shove it down the drain and, watch this film and then, move on to next week's opponent. Thank you, guys.
Next week, it's the Denver Broncos coming to Pittsburgh, 2 in a row at home before a bye week. And, if they take care of business, it'll be 3-3. It's time to adjust and do some things. But in the meantime, third down's always a key indicator of how a game goes. Green Bay was the better team by far on third down conversions. And when you do this, 9 of 15 versus 4 of 11, therein lies a big difference of this game.
And that's why you see a big difference in time of possession. I mean, the Packers had 34 minutes, 8 seconds to the Steelers, 25 minutes and 19 seconds. That is huge, that 9-minute difference in time of possession. But when you look at it, the Packers coming into this game, Bob, were only at 36.7% on third down, 21st in the NFL. So today they were superb to where they had been in the previous 3 games. The Steelers didn't make the plays on third down. And you saw what happened. Difference from why the Steelers were 4 for 11 on third down. Aaron Rodgers was able to break down the passers, break down defenses with his feet, was able to scramble, and he was on time. He missed throws late, but when he needed to, he made throws that were pinpoint accurate.
Yeah, and that's obviously the difference. When you get them, you got to make them. When you make them, it changes the complexion of the game. We're going to talk about the call of offsides on Joe Hayden when we come back. We'll be taking some calls from you as well. We continue live right here. Steelers lose 27-17. They're now 1-3, looking up at everyone in the AFC North. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Neighborhood Ford Store Steelers Extra Point, presented by BetMGM.
All right, we're back. It's time to take a look at the JP Roofing final stats here. And again, Green Bay with more first downs, many more rushing attempts, more than 17 compared to the Steelers. And once again, limited, results there in the run game, which has to change. And you talked about the time of possession turnovers also. They lost that game again.
Yeah, and right there, turnover battle is huge. Again, lost the turnover battle, turned the ball over twice versus the Packers one time. But again, we talked about it last segment. Third downs, Bob, 60% to the Steelers, 37% was the name of the game. 34 minutes to 25 minutes. And then fourth down, the Steelers were, 0 for 3 on fourth down. And when they needed to make those plays, that is a recipe for a non-winning game.
All right, JuJu Smith-Schuster now at the podium in Lambeau Field. Let's hear from number 19.
Yeah, I mean, they're close plays, plays that, should have been made. But, those are game, changing moment plays. I think the momentum of the game changes. We get 6-7 points, on the board, and the momentum of the game changes. So we just got to make those plays. I got to make those plays. Just frustrated. I'm frustrated because, those are plays that, I usually make down the field.
There was some footage showing you on the sideline rewatching those plays that looked like on the iPad. What did you see in those, and how frustrated did you feel when you guys were coming off the field?
I just saw that, I make those balls, I make them in practice, and I fell short. And, I take full responsibility and blame. I knew that it was going to be a quick ball that was coming. Kind of took my eyes off of it. went up, tried to grab it, didn't make the play, and that's something I gotta get better at.
You guys start pressing at this point? Is that a little bit of a pressure now that you guys failed?
I mean, like I said, like there's all there's so many different plays, but looking to point the finger on myself, like like you make those plays down the field, the one where it's up the seam and you put 7 points on the board, or even the one down the middle of the field and making those plays. And like I said, like there's so many different plays that should have been made, but looking at my plays, it's frustrated. I'm human. I have feelings. I was on the sideline. I got upset with myself because I make those plays, and I never show no emotions on the sideline just because I know that I'm always being watched. But a game like this, in a critical time and moment, a situation like that, I'm frustrated with myself. I'm not mad at the team. I'm not mad at the play calling. I'm not mad at Ben for making the throw. It's all on me.
JuJu was in one of those first two.
So on him, and you can debate whether or not it's a bad throw, whether or not he should have made the catch. Bottom line is there were opportunities, and again, for the third week in a row, the Steelers did not cash in. Now it's time to check the Ford Road Ahead, brought to you by your neighborhood Ford store. And all right, here we go. Next week and the week after, two tough opponents, especially Seattle. Russell Wilson, the way he's playing at an MVP level so far, that is a night game. But Denver, then Seattle, then a bye. So got to be 2 wins, right?
They've got to have 2 wins here, but those are tough wins there, right? They're both at home. You got the Denver Broncos coming off a tough loss to the Baltimore Ravens, so they're going to be hungry to get back on track. Seattle Seahawks, again, you talked about Russell Wilson, and they're always tough to beat, always well coached. So two big games here. The Steelers can't afford to go 0-2. I don't even know if they can afford to go 1-1 here. They're going to fall behind big time in the division.
And that would put the onus on these games like at Cleveland. You got to win almost every game in your division that's left. That's the only way to dig out from this based on tiebreakers and everything else. That'll be the first game after the bye week, and then November the 8th, 8:20, Chicago comes to Heinz Field. And Justin Fields played pretty well for them today. So we have more coming up. We're going to take your calls at 412-575-2600 on a special Steelers edition of the Sports Call. We will talk about that block punt that should have been a touchdown. I think both of us agree with that. So did Gene Steratore. We'll do that. Take a short break. Get on the phone. Call us right now. It's your turn to air your opinions after the Steelers fall to 1-3. That's next. Thanks for joining us. We'll continue right after the break.